Ooh, a few more people are coming. And she's coming in from Holland. We're going to Marieke. Ding dong, hello. Do you know what? This is the first time I'm going to be able to ask you how you pronounce your name. Marieke, but it may not be that pronunciation. You'll have to tell us.
Marike.
Marike. Say it again.
Very good.
No,
all the way from the Netherlands.
Say it again. Say it again.
Marike.
Marike from the Netherlands.
Right.
Right. We're typing in where we're from. Or, well, some of us, yes. And more people are coming in. Hello, hello. Welcome, welcome. Ooh, look at the list come longer and longer. Welcome and welcome. Please send your name to the chat along with any other information you'd like to share, like where you are from. Look at all these lovely faces. Hello, hello. We had 39 reservations. And we are slowly coming into the room from various places in the state of California and from other states across the United States and from other countries. Ooh. Okay, do we have another who's also a speaker of Dutch? Or at least a writer of one? Margaret, where's Margaret from? Aha! So that is how you know Dutch. Great. Welcome, welcome. Come on in, come on in. Let us know your name and where you're from. And if you're so able to turn on your video to show us who you are, that would be fun too. Yes, have all your mugs ready. Well, we'll get started, and I'm sure people will come in as they can. We know that not all speeds are the same. I'm going to turn on the recorder now. So now you have a chance to decide if you're staying with the recording or not. Are you staying? Yes. All right, great. Well, I want to welcome you to our warm-up activities for pronunciation and speaking. I am Marsha Chan, and my partner is Jaydene, Elvin, and we also have another partner helping us. And so along with me, I used to teach at Mission College for many, many decades. I started this teaching a pronunciation interest group at Katisal, and have been the coordinator or co-coordinator for a few years. And this year we have our assistant Randy Reitmeyer. He's from UC Santa Barbara. He's our assistant coordinator for the year 2020 through 2021. And my trusty co-coordinator, Jaydene Elvin. She's from California State University at Fresno. She's been our top co-coordinator since 2019, and prior to that, she was our assistant coordinator. So today, we are bringing you the warm-up activities as we promised you. We'll start out with an interactive workshop using the pronunciation workout, and it's a physical routine that relaxes you, centers your attention, and then warms up the articulators. And following this, then we will engage in several kind of funny, comedic, and dramatic exercises. They are to energize us, energize our students, lower the affective filter, and to sort of prepare for more formal pronunciation and speaking activities. So we've asked you to be able to sit and stand and move with approximately 2 feet of space around you. So check about yourself and to see if you've got about that much space all around you. We've also asked you to be willing to join the meeting with your cameras on. And hopefully you won't mind, kind of loosening up and acting a little bit silly. Raise your hand if you're ready for this. Anybody else ready with me? All right. Now, some of you know that when you click on the link here or in your email or in the registration form, you will get lots of details, step-by-step details on the pronunciation workout, along with some tips on how to present it with students. And in the meanwhile, let's see if we can have, I guess we're hearing a little bit of noise on the outside. So probably be a good idea for you to mute for the moment, if you don't mind. Let's talk about our speech production. This is what we look like with our clothes off. Now, what happens first? Well, first thing is we think about what we want to say, and then let's see what happens. There we go. The brain triggers these steps. The diaphragm muscle helps to inflate and deflate the lungs. And then third, the lungs pump air up into the mouth. And the vocal cords, which are inside here, vibrate air that's coming up from the lungs. Next, what happens is the nose, the mouth, the lips, and the tongue modify this vibrating air to form sounds. And then what happens? Then sounds and words exit the mouth. And it's a really good idea for us as speakers and teachers, particularly of speech, of pronunciation, to have a familiarity with the organs of speech, or the basic articulatory phonetics. That's kind of necessary. It's really essential for us to understand those in order to help our students produce sounds better. So as we know, we've got a nose with a nasal cavity, and we have our lips, which are very obviously in front, closed together, opening, closing with the jaw. Our tongue is this wonderful muscle or combination of little muscles that change the shape of the oral cavity, which is between the tongue and the palate. The hard palate, which is in the front and the top, and the soft palate, which is farther back. And even farther back, against the back is the pharynx, and then we have this little epiglottis, and we have the larynx underneath it. And all of this is going from our esophagus all the way up, and our larynx down here. So what we need to do is to know that we have these parts of our body which help to articulate our sounds. So if we understand this, then it helps us explain to our students how individual sounds are produced. Although we, of course, will say it and demonstrate it differently according to the level of our students and the understanding they have of the language that we're speaking, whether it's English or another language. So this is how the sound comes out. We start from here. But before we go into the pronunciation itself, the pronunciation workout itself, let's do a few tongue twisters. So let's have you say, she sells seashells by the seashore. 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 All right, let's try this. The rain in Spain stays mainly on the plain. The rain in Spain stays mainly on the plain. The rain in Spain stays mainly on the plain. The rain in Spain stays mainly on the plain. Ooh, let's do this one. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. A peck of pickled peppers Peter Piper picked. If Peter Piper picked peppers, where's the peck of pickled peppers that Peter Piper picked? Okay, do that one again. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. A peck of pickled peppers Peter Piper picked. If Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers, where's the peck of pickled peppers Peter Piper picked? How much wood could a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? If he would chuck, he would much as good as chuck as much as wood as a woodchuck would if a woodchuck could chuck wood. How much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? He would chuck, he would, as much as he could. Chuck as much wood as a woodchuck would if a woodchuck could chuck wood. Wouldn't you say so? Okay, that was your pretest, guys. Now, let's warm up our vocal apparatus. So we'll do the pronunciation workout. A little rationale for the pronunciation workout. Why do we want to do something like this? This or something like this? Because speaking a foreign language requires different movements of the vocal apparatus. You know, your cheeks, your jaw, your lips, your tongue, your teeth, your glottis, and your lungs. Even speaking your own language requires all of this, right? Gaining control and flexibility of one's physical speaking apparatus facilitates changes in accent and voice quality and enhances your overall oral production. And also, what we can do is to relax the body and relieve tension related to oral production, to control breathing, to enhance muscle extension and flexibility, and to prepare the vocal apparatus for clarity, comfort, and strength in speaking. Sound like a good idea? Yeah? All right. Now, often, in a regular class, when I'm there face to face, I might project a really peaceful kind of environment, a picture, something that would make students and members of the audience feel comfortable. I might play music, but you know what? We're not going to do that today because we're on Zoom. So would you guys make sure that you are in gallery view? So you have lots of us pictured here. If you are in gallery view, do you see lots of people? And they're all like a 5x4 grid? Okay, very good. That's one way to do it. What's the other view called? The other view is called speaker view, and that's where you would be looking strictly at whoever is speaking, right? But now we get to see everybody. We all get to see everybody if you like. So here's what I'd like you to do now. If you can, if you're able, then stand up. And you might want to tilt your monitor up a little bit because your head is probably at a higher position than it was when we first started. Am I right? All right. How's this? Is this good? All right. So now we are in a space where we're standing up. And I'd like you to take some deep breaths. And when you breathe, see if you can fill your lungs completely so that your belly actually expands. Take a big breath. Inhale and exhale. And inhale. And exhale. And inhale. Hold it. And exhale. Do that one more time. Inhale. Hold it. And exhale. Remember that breathing where you're breathing in deeply. Now drop your arms to the side. Roll your shoulders a little bit. Still breathe. Okay. Big breath with your arms down. Now if you feel comfortable, lean forward and let your arms hang as you breathe. Breathing with your arms relaxed. Gravity pulls them down. Let them swing out the tension. No tension. Now bring yourself back up, breathing deeply. And allow your head to go to the side. Gently to the side. If you can, go gently backwards. And to the other side. Gently, smoothly. Breathe deeply. Bring it forward. Let your head hang forward. Relax the muscles in your neck. Relax the muscles in your arms. Loosen your shoulders. Pull yourself up slowly. Breathe deeply. Send relaxation to your neck. And as I'm breathing in through my nose, out through my mouth with a breathe in through your nose. Send relaxation to your chest. Inhale through your nose. Send relaxation to your belly. Raise one arm up high and gently lean the opposite direction, which stretches out your intercostal muscles, which are holding your ribs together. Breathe in And send relaxation to those muscles. Come back to standing. Breathe normally. Your other arm up. Big breath. Stretch, 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 and send relaxation to these other intercostal muscles holding your ribs. Back to standing. Turn yourself one way. Turn yourself the other way. Rid yourself of all your worries and cares. Come back to a calm position here. Breathing in and out smoothly. All right, have a seat, please. And you may wish to change the position of your monitor to follow you. Ooh, okay, so, pronunciation is a really physical act, and therefore it's really good to exercise certain parts of your vocal apparatus. One of them is the breath. One of the things that's really important is how we use breath, because it's not used the same way in every language. And it's not used the same way for every action that we do. So you will see that people who do public speaking, people who are actors, and especially people who are athletes, they use their lungs to a much greater degree than those of us who are just sitting at our computers going tap, 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 tap. You know what I mean? So being aware of the breath and how it can be used to support all that you do above the breath line is a really good thing. So let's start out by stretching our jaw, big yawn. Give me a big yawn. I want to see everybody's yawn. Some of you have really good yawn. Some of you are kind of quiet. Let's go. Yawn. You have yawn. Yawning can be kind of contagious, right? All right, let's see if you can give your yawn to one of our friends here. Yawn. Oh, oh, oh. Now, when you yawn, what's happening inside your mouth? Your jaw is going down. But another thing that is doing is it's loosening what I like to call the rubber bands back here. These are some tendons that keep the jaw tight. So if we loosen it, now I want you to purposely think of the back of your jaw and see how you can open it. Really lower the tongue and the back. Can you hear the difference when I speak like this and when I speak like this? Does it make a difference? As I'm using my jaw, I'm making it go down like that. Can you hear the difference? All right, how about when you do it? Can you hear the difference here? When you're changing the jaw. Okay, now, let's do this. Okay, now, you're probably not going to do this as you speak. I mean, I don't think you're going to talk to your friends this way, but you could. This is a pretty good way. You could talk to your students this way, and they might wake up and stop looking at their phones instead. And, this is really good for another reason, too, and that's to stretch out the muscles in the cheek. So I'm pulling these cheek muscles over here. Okay, are you doing that? Are you pulling the top and bottom? Okay, some of you are going like this with the jaw. Look, this is my little jaw. But I don't want you to just do the lower jaw. I want you to do the whole thing. Do the whole thing. Now to really get the stretch in your cheek. Okay? Really get the stretch. If you're looking at all of us, you can see some of us are doing just the lower part like this, and some of us are doing the upper lip too. So if you do that, you're stretching all of the muscles. Oh, blah, 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 blah. Okay, now you're going, why are you making me do this? Well, if you loosen up these muscles, you see, they'll be more flexible, and they'll be ready to do some other kinds of motions that will be done without having to think so much about it. It'll be like, oh, okay, yeah, my face goes that way. Oh, okay. Now, what about your lips? What are you gonna do with those lips? Okay, so you can run around with your lips. Okay, come on, let's give me some. Can you give me some funny faces, please? I like to see funny faces, please. Give me your funny faces. Give me your funniest faces. Come on. Do the funny faces like, like this. Come on, right? Funnier. Roundy. All right, now, can you do this lip curl where you get your lips all like bunches up here and you go, big breath, and you let it out? Don't laugh at me. Come on, laugh with me. Don't be shy. I think you're laughing too much. Let's do it. I know you're going to have to get the tissue, right? You're getting all the tissue going, oh, my screen is, I got to wipe it off. I need a windshield wiper. That's okay. It's okay. This way, get your lips very, very loose, right? All right. Now, let's do the tongue. Stretch it. Stretch it. Farther. Let's see who's got the longest tongue. I'm seeing a few tongues. I want to see more. All right. That's good. Now, can you poke your tongue out this side? Poke it. Come on. Poke it out. Okay, poke it this way. Poke it this way. Poke it this way. This way. Okay, now, these are my teeth. Here's my tongue. Go meow. Now this is outside. Now this is inside. Clean your teeth. Don't eat those dents same way. Yeah, just want to do that. Okay. Oh. Okay. Now let's do. Take a big breath. So what I'm doing now is I'm hitting the teeth. Oh, no. Hitting the tongue against the teeth on the way out. Pull it back in, and then hitting it on the way out, and bring it in. Ready? Slow motion. Can't do it that slow. Faster now. Faster. Oh. Are you warmed? Does it feel warmer? Does your tongue feel warmer? A little bit? Your cheeks feel warmer? A little bit? Your lips feel kind of warmer? A little bit? Okay, what happens then if you are asked to say the tongue twisters once again? Then how will it be to do that? Can you do that? Let's do it. She sells seashells by the seashore. 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 The rain and rain stays standing on the plane. The rain and rain stays standing on the plane. The rain and Peter Piper picked a pack of pickled peppers. Sorry, it's so funny. It's kind of funny, right? So, how much wood would a woodchuck chuck? Your woodchuck could chuck wood. He would as much as he could. And chuck as much wood as he could if a woodchuck could chuck wood. Well, all right. So, folks, I didn't get to hear you as you were saying your tongue twisters. But you can turn on your microphones now. Do you dare? If you do, you may turn on your microphones. Would you like to tell us the first one? She sells seashells by the seashore.
She sells seashells by the seashore.
She sells seashells by the seashore. She sells seashells by the seashore. She sells seashells by the seashore. She sells seashells by the seashore. She sells seashells by the seashore. She sells seashells by the seashore. She sells seashells by the seashore. She sells seashells by the seashore.
Stop! Up to number two. Let me hear it, number two.
The rain in
Spain stays mainly on the plane. The rain in Spain stays mainly on the plane. The rain in Spain stays mainly on the plane. The rain in Spain stays mainly on the plane. The rain in Spain stays mainly on the plane.
Good. Let's do number three.
Peter Piper picked the peppers. Pickled peppers. Peter Piper picked the peppers. Peter Piper picked
I have no idea where that peck of pickled peppers Peter Piper picked is, but let's ask number four.
How much wood could woodchuck chop wood as much as it could. As much wood as woodchuck would if woodchuck could chop wood. How much wood would a woodchuck chop if a woodchuck could chop wood?
That is really funny, you guys. All right, tell me, did you feel any differences? Compare your production before and after doing some pronunciation workout exercises. How do you feel about it? Go ahead, just pipe up. All of a sudden you're so quiet. You don't have to be quiet, but you can do this, and that way we'll know your impressions.
Yeah, more than the woodchuck one. I actually got to the end of it this time, and before on the third sentence I was lost.
Okay, so you got through this time. You were able to manipulate your articulators a little bit more quickly, a little bit more fluently, and you felt you have a little bit more comfort. So this is just I'm not a keen on having students do tongue twisters for some other pedagogical reasons. But I did this for you folks because I just want you to get a sensation of what it's like before and after you do this type of a workout, right? Which gets you warmed up. Obviously, it is not the speaking task itself, but what does it do? Do you feel like more prepared to do some speaking stuff, and maybe you don't feel so shy about opening your mouth? Yeah? So that is kind of helpful. Another thing that's really helpful for students is when we, as far as the articulators go, is doing these kinds of exercises, I say, from the breath up. And why I like to do the relaxation part is to help people get centered. Do you ever feel that when your students come into class, they're kind of burdened by other thoughts, other worries, other stresses? And one of the things about doing relaxation and centering activities is to help them blow those away and help you to sort of focus on whatever the task at hand is. So those are some things. And how long will it take you? Well, the first time I do it with my students, it might take me 25 minutes, and then after that it'll be 10 minutes because we know the routine, and it's a kind of a thing. On my YouTube channel, I have I'll have a whole playlist called pronunciation workouts. And if you want to use them, you're welcome to, to show them and let them be guided by those types of actions. They're not all the same. There are some variations. And of course, you may develop your own as you feel fit. There is, this is basically what we did, but we can get access to all of the resources in the materials that I sent out to you before, and I can resend them later on if you are worried about not being able to find them. But now let's go on to the second part of our activities, which is to engage in comedic and dramatic exercises to energize students and lower the affective filter. So Jaydene is going to lead us in a few dramatic and energizing games for promoting, listening, and speaking.
Excellent. I'm really excited for this. I feel really warmed up after doing that pronunciation workout, which was really good. And so Basically, as Marsha has said, a lot of these activities, we're not actually showing you activities to train speaking, so to speak. We're training you to do some activities that are going to help your students lower their affective filter. Because sometimes speaking can be a very daunting task for a second language learner, especially me when I do my teaching. I like to use a lot of improv and things like that. And so to get students to a point where they're going to be willing to participate in those activities, we really want to actually have them energized, have them excited, and have them feeling comfortable with each other. So that's what these activities are going to be based on. The first one that I'm going to show you isn't an improv activity, but it's similar. It just follows on with what we've done with Marsha in terms of just warming up your body for speaking. Because again, we've warmed up like our face and we've relaxed ourselves, but we also need to energize our body because speaking is a whole body experience. A couple of these activities that I'm going to show can actually be found on a website, a TESOL blog website. So I'm just sending that to the chat for everyone to have. But we're going to keep our microphones on mute for this particular activity. The rest will unmute. But again, like we did with Marsha's activity, we're going to stand up and move and have that 2 feet of space around us. So maybe move chairs, things like this. And so make sure you have some space around you so that you can do this activity. So what it's called is shakeout. And again, we're just going to be warming up our bodies with this. So what will happen is we're going to shake different parts of our bodies. And as we shake those different parts of our bodies, I'm going to be counting up to 8. Then we're going to do it again where I'll count up to 6, to 4, and to 2. Normally in the class, you would go backwards from 8 down to 1, but in the interest of time, I'm skipping a couple. So essentially what it would look like is, say if I say we're all going to shake our, let's say my right arm, we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so that's just an example. I can see some people shaking. So what I'm going to do is I will shout out the part of the body that I want you to shake, and then I will count us, and we have to shake for that long, and then I'll shout out the next part of our body. So are we ready for this? Okay, so right arm, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Left arm, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Shoulders, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Head, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Right leg, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Left leg, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Our butts, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so that's the first part. Then you're going to start counting down. So I'm stopping here just to show that that's what you're going to do next. In a normal activity and for the rest of the countdowns, I'm not actually going to stop. So you're just going to do it along with me. Okay, so we're going to start with our right arm again. This time I'm going to go up to 6. So our right arm, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Left arm, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Shoulders, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Heads, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right leg, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Left leg, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And your butts, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And your right arm, 2, 3, 4. And your left arm, 2, 3, 4. And your shoulders, 2, 3, 4. And your right leg, 2, 3, 4. And your left leg, 2, 3, 4. And your butt, 2, 3, 4. And your right arm, 1, 2. And your left arm, 1, 2. And your shoulders, 1, 2. And your head, 1, 2. And your butt, 1, 2. And your right leg, 1, 2. And your left leg, 1, 2. And that's pretty much how it goes. You can also do 1, 1, 1, 1. You can do all of the counts from 1 to 8. But the idea is just to have, again, your body relaxed and your body moving and ready to participate. So that's the first activity. We can all move back and sit down if we'd like again.
Thank you.
Before I move on, do I have any questions about that one? Again, it's just a simple, fun, making everyone feel comfortable, and you can go as fast or as slow as you would like as well. Sometimes it's a little bit fun to go really fast as well. And, you know, as you could see, I made a couple of mistakes as I was going along. Sometimes I skipped a body part. It doesn't really matter. We're just getting everyone to do it. As you feel fit, if this is something that you would do regularly before the start of a class as well, depending on your knowledge of the students, you can actually ask them to be the ones to lead it as they've progressed it as well. So that gives them that sense of, you know, confidence and leadership. So I use this in a teacher training course. And so for my future, my pre-service teachers, I do it a few lessons, myself leading it, and then each time I have another class, I pick one of my students for that to go in and lead. So that's just called Shakeout, and it was on the website that I put there for you. So the next one is an improvisation activity. It's a quick warm-up one. It's got some movement to it. We do have some vocals to it. So for this one, we are welcomed to unmute ourselves for this particular one. And it's called Yes, Let's. And the idea behind is that what will happen is, so I'll get us just to mute ourselves just very quickly while explaining. I should have done that first. So what will happen with this one is everyone, if you're doing it face to face, everyone will be in a circle. Otherwise, as we've got it in our gallery view. So if you haven't got gallery view still on, make sure you put the gallery view back on. And so what happens with this one is one person, it can be the teacher that starts, or you can select a student to start, and they start by saying let's and a verb. So it could be let's dance. And then everybody responds with yes, let's. And then you mime the action. The idea is that you keep doing that action until another person chimes in with a new activity. Say, for instance, let's run. And everyone says, yes, let's. Okay, and then everybody runs. So that's the idea behind it. And you just keep going until you feel like the students have had enough of it. Or depending on the class size, you might want to keep going until you make sure every student has had a turn. Now, for online, again, it can be done online. It's up to you whether you want to make the students stand up or have it doing sitting down. Doesn't really matter. I like standing up, again, because you've got that greater range that you can use. Again, for online and organization, it depends on your knowledge of your students. So if you think that somebody's just not going to volunteer to go next, it might be that you have a running sheet that you then post to students that gives them the order in which somebody needs to chime in with the next one. However, it's also good to have free reign and just to let it be everyone. And the idea is that I will keep making that same action until someone else goes in. And eventually people are going to get sick of it, so someone else is going to go in. So I figure, because you guys are all teachers and I didn't know who was going to participate and things like that, we're going to do the improvisation version, right? Where you guys at any point can chime in, and that's why we're going to have our microphone on for this particular activity, not just yet, but we will have it on. Now, obviously, as we're doing the movements, for this one, again, it can still be any movement. We can say, let's swim, and we can pretend to swim. To try and keep it a little bit less noisy, let's stay sitting down for this one, right? If you've shouted an action and we haven't responded, it means that we haven't heard you. So that means you need to do it louder, right? So sometimes for my teacher training, I actually, shout out to everyone, exaggerate or louder and things like that to get them more motivated. So the main gist of it is we start with one person that says let's and puts in a verb, an action verb. Everybody responds with yes, let's, and then we mime it. Okay, and so just as a quick practice, we're not actually going to start just yet, but we'll do a quick practice where I'm going to shout a verb, like let's and the verb. You're all going to respond with yes, let's, and we're going to do it for a second. So we're going to do one quick practice with me. So let's unmute our microphones And we need enthusiasm when you say yes, let's, because you're excited about this. You're very excited. So let's all pretend to swim.
Yes, let's.
Let's swim.
And that's what we do. So all you have to respond is yes, yes. Okay?
Oh, yes, let's.
You keep going until someone else chimes in. So that's what we're doing. I'm actually going to volunteer someone else to start us off with this one. So we can stop swimming for a second. And I'm going to volunteer someone else to be our student leader that's going to start us off. But then anyone else can chime in with let's and whatever action you want us to do. Does everybody understand? Okay, Randy, you've been voluntold to start us off.
Let's play the guitar.
Yes, let's.
Yes, let's.
Let's let.
And we keep going until
Let's eat noodles.
yes.
Yes.
Yes, let's.
Oh. Yes,
And we keep going until someone else.
let's twist. Clap fingers.
Yes, let's.
Yes.
Let's.
Yes, let's.
Snap our fingers.
Yes, let's.
Let's wash our hair.
Yes, let's.
Let's. Let's twist.
Yes, let's.
Let's rub our cheek.
Yes, let's.
Yes, let's.
Let's wiggle our noses.
Yes, let's. Yes, let's go hula hooping.
Yes.
Oh, don't drop it. Hula hoop.
We keep going till someone else goes in that hasn't had a turn.
Pose. Let's sing.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
So that's another way that you can also bring it to an ending. Sure, if it's getting a little bit awkward, it's going on a bit too much. So I would say, let's stop the activity. Everyone can say yes, let's, and then we stop. Again, you can do debrief however you want. So you how you think this is going to work. So I'll get everyone to mute themselves again. Okay, so it's up to you to decide whether or not you think it would be. I just realized Master muted everyone, and that also muted me. Okay, so it's up to you to decide whether or not you want to pre-assign students an order of doing the yes let's, or have that improvised. And again, as you get to know your students, or as they get to know the game, maybe it's best to start out with an order and then improvise as well. So again, it does get them speaking. You could also use this as an activity. You can modify it a bit if you want to practice some verbs of any topic that you're working on. If you want to do, the present continuous or anything like that, the activity can be modified for those reasons as well. So it's a fun little improvisation game that we have. And hopefully after doing that, because we've all done it together, we all feel silly together, we all have fun together, we're ready to go on to some of our other activities that you have planned.
No,
So,
I'm just thinking that, it has so many possibilities.
yeah.
What like we did today with this, everybody chiming in with some sort of activity, but as a teacher, and perhaps you're using you're on a certain theme and you have a certain vocabulary list or concept map that you want to work with your students, you can propose that they use words from this list and actions from this list. Or concepts from that, so that it's a lot of really nice possibilities to it. And as you said, mix is free up and get in there.
Again, it's all about lowering our affective filter. So we want to be removing any barriers that our students have against learning. So the next one, I really like to do this as part of my vocal warm-up for my students to, help them play with different levels of speech, so to speak. And it's called Energy Circle. And so I've actually never tried this one on Zoom before. And so what I'm going to do first, because we've got enough time to do this, is I'm actually going to show you a video that demonstrates what Energy Circle is. The whole idea behind it is that everyone is in a circle and one person kicks us off with a sound, and it's the quietest sound that they might make. So it might be beep. And then the next person has to make that same sound, but this time a little bit louder. So beep, beep. And then it goes around till it comes back to that originator, who then has to be the loudest. So it could be beep, 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 beep. So that's building up that energy. I also like to force my students to do an action so that you start off with like a really small action as well. So like beep. And then as you go around, you get bigger and bigger. If I feel like the student hasn't been, because the goal is to be louder than the person next. If I feel like they're not loud enough, I will make them do it again. I also, as I get to know students, I know who can be loud. And so I might strategically place some of my students in a particular order to have them do that. So one year when I was doing my practicum course and doing this activity, one of my students had to bring her daughter to classes. So of course I included the daughter in the activities. Like, she loved it. And so she was a little 10-year-old that had really good voice and could really project that voice. So I would always place her again next to my student that I thought was too quiet. And that student knew as soon as they were placed next to this little girl, they're like, oh dear, I have to be louder than her. And it really worked. So that's another thing you can do. So normally this is done face-to-face in a circle. When I was thinking about how we could do it as well, you could adapt it again where you pre-assign an order that people do this in. That's like the only way that would work, is with the pre-assigned order. So as I'm showing you the video, I believe that Marsha will be secretly selecting 10 of you and assigning an order for us to be able to do that. So first, let me share my screen and I will show you this, and I'll also give you the link for this afterwards. So I'm going to share the sound. Okay, we've got our screen. Got this loud. So this is it's a theatre game. It's from Drama Manu. So it's a really good website if you want improv games. And I've just gone onto them and learned how to adapt them for yourself. So let's see.
Energy game. We're going to start with an energy game. So let's just open up a little bit. Be keen and enthusiastic. So with the energy game, it's going to do an action and a sound. So I might go, yeah! Might do that, everybody? Yeah! What's going to happen? No, yeah, sort of. So what will happen is that you'll cannon it round the circle. So if I go, yeah! Then you'll go, yeah! 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 No. Oh, great. And then it'd come all the way back to me and I'd give a final yeah, and then we start with a knee one. And you finish it off. Good. Now, the idea with the energy game is that it must grow in energy. So one person's giving you a yeah, your yeah has got to be louder. Yeah, it's got to be louder, it's got to be more energized. So as we go through the circle, when it comes back to you, yes, okay, you're going to start and finish it off. So when it comes back to you, it should be enormous, okay? Start us off.
Okay, so that is the energy game. Marsha, have you secretly selected?
I am secretly doing this, but I did get a little bit out of sorts when we went to video. So I'm still doing secret now, and you can still.
So I'm going to still explain. So if you get secretly selected, I think it is best for you to stand up to do this. And so, as you could see from the video, the idea is to start with something with less energy, and then we cannon it around until we get as much energy as possible. So the person that started it has to finish louder than everyone else. So you also want to explain that you want to think about the types of sounds and actions that you're going to do, because we do have sounds that aren't necessarily going to get louder. So if I want to do, right, I can't really get that loud with, so that's not going to be a good example. You know, you might encourage them to use sounds that actually contain vowels in them, because with vowels, they are louder sounds. So that's something that we want to do in this particular activity. And I do a few rounds of it as well. Again, it's just about building up that energy and also helping them play with their projection as well, because what I tend to find with some of my ESL students in particular is that they're really, really quiet when they speak. And so we want to get them super energized and super excited when they speak. So that's what we're going to do there. Marsha.
So I wrote some names. I tried to pick people whose videos I see, but some of the people who have shown their videos don't seem to have a human in it.
Okay.
So if we get to that video and there's no sound, that might be the lacking point.
Okay, so do you want to tell us, have you put in the chat who you chose?
Silly me, I didn't send it to everybody. It would be a lot easier if I selected everyone in the meeting and then I sent it. Now that would be more visible, right?
Okay. So, and I do think Randy may have had to...
Yes, oh, sorry. He had to go to a meeting, so let's say not
so
Randy.
We've lost Randy, but I will follow Bentley, and so we've got.
And so Bentley, if Bentley, I see his background, but I don't see the body.
I'm here.
So, he is. He's being silent. Okay, there.
Okay.
Then he can participate.
Everyone should be able to see the order. We've got Wendy, Cheryl, Gray. I'm sorry if I pronounced the names wrong. Delisha. Oh, it was Marie. I really did that one bad.
Don't worry, Marike, don't worry.
Marike.
Okay.
Jenny, Anna, Bentley, myself, and we'll finish off with Marsha. Okay? And so, Wendy, what that means is you're going to start us off with a sound and an action. And then we're going to go in that order, repeating that same sound and action louder and louder. And so when
she gets to do it really small and soft, right?
Start really small, and then once Marsha's done it, Wendy's going to finish us off again with something really, really loud. Okay, and we'll probably just do 3 rounds of this for the interest of time. Wendy, do you feel prepared to start us?
I can try.
And that's all we ask is
that's all we ask.
Any sound and any action, a sound that can get loud. It can be a word. So when you're ready.
Okay. Let's.
Okay, let's. That's what it is. So then we would go to Cheryl. And Cheryl, I think you're on mute. So let's unmute yourself.
Okay, so Wendy, will you do it again so we can all watch you?
And can you add an action to that, Wendy?
Let's.
Jenny there?
Oh, let's.
Very good. So again, the idea is also to get louder and louder, and sometimes you want to make it difficult for your partner. Also, if you're inserting yourself as the teacher, I would sometimes change my position if I know that people aren't getting louder there as well. Okay, let's have another practice round, and this time we're going to start with Cheryl. So we follow the same order, and it finishes off with Cheryl. So Wendy, you'll follow Marsha, just in case, because we're just moving up one. So Cheryl, are you ready to kick us off?
Yippee!
Yippee!
Okay, so Delisha, you need to be louder than Gray. So Gray, can you do yours again, and then we're going to get Delisha.
Yippee!
Yippee!
Excellent. Gray, let's have you start.
Okay. Aha.
Ah.
Aha.
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 Aha!
Aha.
Action. You need an action, Wendy.
Aha.
Excellent. And let's finish it off. Delisha. We'll do one more round.
Hi.
So who's next? Are we going with Delisha?
Alicia. Oh, it's my turn. Can you go again, Alicia?
Sure. Hi.
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 Hi!
Hi.
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 Excellent. So again, you want to control that as much as you can. Because this was just a demonstration, I'm not going to have you guys, you can go on mute again. I won't have you repeat over and over, but if you really are trying to energize them, you're really trying to work it out, you do want to encourage them to go again and again and again until you think that it's loud enough. So say, for instance, Gray was really good at projecting his voice. So Gray, do you want to give me like an example of another sound that I could follow you? With some of your energy there.
Ooh.
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 So I'm going to do it just between me and Gray just for a second to show you guys. So Gray, start, then I'll do it, and then again, we're going to progressively get louder.
Okay. Ooh.
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 Louder.
Ooh.
Louder.
Ooh.
And louder.
Ooh.
Excellent. So that's how, just an example of how you can control one of your students if you're feeling like they're not getting loud enough. Louder, 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 and do that a few times. Obviously, at the beginning, when they're first starting this out, they're going to be a little bit shy about it. But as they get used to the game, it really does become fun. My students love it, and they love testing out with each other who's like going to be the loudest and who can do that. So that's the energy game. Again, it's just about bringing up that energy. So I'm just going to mute yourself for a second, Greg, if I can. I was trying to do it and it wasn't letting me. Excellent, thank you. So that's the energy game. The idea is just to build up the energy. We've just shown that it is possible to do over Zoom, and the best way to do that is to have a structured order. From what we've just done there, because we're all still new to it, and this is just the demonstration that you guys have proven to me that it can be done, we do need to have a few practice rounds because sometimes we forget our order. But once we remember this is who I follow, this is how it is, it can be quite effective. The only thing is if you're doing it online, I think for any of these energy building games, it's just to make sure that your students feel like they are in a safe space. Because in a classroom, it's just us in there together making noise and being silly. So you do want to make sure if the students are at home, they want to be in an environment where they feel safe and comfortable to let go and be a little bit silly. Again, some people don't want to see their houses that they're living in. I see a few of you have virtual backgrounds. And so that's something that I would encourage as well, that they have that virtual background if they're worried that, I'm doing this silly stuff in my bedroom. Encourage them to use the virtual background. So that's the energy game. Again, it's just meant to get students, build up cooperation, that sense of community. One of the things that I found when I do with my teacher training is the feedback that I get from them is that when everybody participates, including you, the teacher, everyone enjoys it. They have fun, they're excited, they love seeing the teacher be just as silly as them. So that's the idea. If you're not willing to do these activities, then we can't expect that our students should do it. We have to be willing to do any of these activities just as much as we would expect them. And so I have had a student before that didn't really like to do any of the activities, and other students commented and said, yeah, when this particular student didn't participate, it spoiled the fun. So you really want to try and build up that sense of community. And so starting with these lower risk kind of games, that's going to help them feel a little bit more comfortable so that you can build it up to some of those other tasks, those listening and speaking tasks that may be a little bit more difficult. So those are the 3 that I have. We do still have 10 minutes left, and so the idea for this was just to leave open any time for question and answer. Marsha and I have been talking about doing another follow-up workshop in the future, which then looks at some actual speaking and listening activities. So again, most of you that know me know that I love doing the drama games, and so I have a few more that we can share. So if we have any questions, let me know. Marsha,
suggestions, we'd be pleased to listen to your suggestions for meeting topics for our future, because with CATISL and the Zoom meetings are available, and we are probably the most active interest group in CATISL, and we would really like to keep on doing a lot of things that will help out our membership, especially because we know that you're helping out students. Suggestions, turn on your mics and talk to us.
Don't be shy. So yeah, or if you want to host your own workshop, we're open to that.
That's for sure.
So any questions about what we've done today is more than welcome. And then, as we said, any suggestions of what you want to see from us in the future, because again, we do this for you. Okay, so workshop on teaching about production. That's a suggestion there that we have from Bentley. Thank you. Again, you can also say it out loud. We don't have to be in this awkward silence. We can have a conversation.
Yes, we really can. We can practice our listening and speaking here. Go ahead.
That would require vowel production.
Yes. Okay. Right. Yes.
So I will just say that the population I work with is 100% Mandarin speaking. Mm-hmm. So I'm being selfish, but I would love to have a workshop that targets Mandarin speakers and ways that I can work with them on pronunciation.
Where do you work?
I work in Indiana at an institution of higher ed, Rose Holman Institute of Technology.
Which institute?
It's Rose Holman Institute of Technology. It's an engineering school.
Okay, good. And you have a lot of speakers of Mandarin. Do you have a lot of foreign ITAs from China?
We don't.
Oh, are they immigrants? Are they?
No, they come here for 4 years. It's an undergrad institution.
Oh, okay. All right. Great. Yeah. I have a number of things. You can check out my blog and my YouTube channel, and there are a number of them that really speak to working with speakers of Mandarin, of Chinese, and
wonderful.
Cantonese,
thank you.
And Vietnamese, and a few Asian languages. Mm-hmm.
I can see we're getting some other suggestions in the chat, which is great. And while people are typing these things, Marsha, I hope you don't mind, but I'm going to do something very, very selfish.
Go ahead. Please do it.
Just put a plug for us. So I'm actually, as I mentioned, I do a lot of these activities for a practicum course, an internship course. So I train pre-service teachers using theatre. And this semester, I have to run that course online, and all of my students need to get a mentor teacher. And I have a larger number of students that I'm looking for placements with anyone that's teaching virtually. Because Fresno State is teaching virtually, I can't expect a student to go to a face-to-face class, which I thought, now I have CATISL, I just wanted to reach out and see if there's any of you that are teaching virtually and would be interested in having a student intern join you I would really appreciate that, you letting me know. So I'm going to put on the message my email if you wanted to contact me as well. But essentially what happens, they are undergraduate TESOL students. So for some of them, this is their first exposure to an ESL classroom. It typically starts out with them observing what you do. Then as you see fit, then they can start interacting a little bit more. You might have them lead a smaller group or lead a breakout session, however that is, lead a homework exercise. Again, as you see fit how you want to utilize them, we can then move it up to the ultimate goal, depending on the student, is to at least be able to teach a 15-minute mini lesson or a 50-minute one if they're super good. So if anyone is interested and totally understand that you need to approve institutions and things like that, especially if you're teaching on Zoom and synchronously, that would work best, just because I know anyone using Canvas, I can't add students outside of the institution. So if you are interested, I can see Gray has said there and I can see some messages coming through. I'm going to give you my email. So this is me being super selfish, but I really appreciate that I am looking for volunteers. Now I do see that Gray had your hand raised before I started on this. So did you also have a question or a suggestion?
Yes, I did have a question. First, Jaydene and Marsha, thank you very much for this really lively workshop. I'm definitely going to be using all of these in my pronunciation class that I'll be teaching in about a week. My question is, there will be, I'm sure there's going to be students who will be completely reluctant to doing any of these activities. I understand at first, especially at first, they're really not going to want to do it because it's going to be way outside of their comfort zone. How do you deal with students who continuously are reluctant on not wanting to do any of these activities?
Okay, Marsha, do you want to take it or you want me to start off?
I would say that part of the reason that students or any participants feel weird and like they never went to an ESL class like this before. Usually it was like books. Open your book and repeat after me. A lot of them went to school like that, right? And so they're not used to this. Put your book down. No, we don't need books. No, we really don't need the book. We can put the book down and we're going to work on what it takes. So part of it is to help students understand that speaking is not from here, but speaking is from here. So if they have an understanding of why you're going to introduce them to something new, it may help. The other thing is, as we were trying to say with these other activities, is when you are lowering the affective filter, then people will feel more comfortable with each other. And so it's if you can build up the rapport with your students and have them feel comfortable with each other, then doing this kind of activity is less threatening. I'll say that whenever I introduce the pronunciation workout with any students, at first you will have half the students do it and other half will be kind of like wallflowers. And I say, that's okay. Like when you are comfortable, you can stand up. If you don't feel comfortable, and then because in a community college, we have students who are older and younger. And so we have students who are less abled. And I don't ask them to stand up and jump around if that's not physically healthy. So I invite them. I don't demand it. You know what I'm saying? So if you invite them to do it, and as they are ready to participate, you just give them the ability to choose whether to participate or not, and you welcome them. Then it's not going to happen the first time or the second time. It may happen the third or fourth time that people start coming in. And then it becomes, for me, like a regular routine. This is what we do at the beginning of every class. And people, even if they come in late, they know that this is what they just throw their books down and they start getting in the mood. They learn how to do it. But, part of it is this invitational method that you have, the atmosphere that you create. And it's a lot different online, right? I mean, it can be so cold, but it doesn't have to be, because we get to see everybody's faces the way we don't get to see in a regular classroom. So there are a lot of benefits with seeing it. Like if we teach our students all about how to use gallery view and, you know, the different ways that we can manipulate. This is, you know, that's a separate lesson. If you want to look at all my lessons on how to use Zoom, you can go to my YouTube channel because I have lots of those workshops that I've done with Katisa and elsewhere. But I know that another thing that influences us here in a web atmosphere is that we have our learners who are also learning with a whole bunch of other people at home, maybe, right? Dogs, cats, and kids, and moms and dads, and so the space of being wild, crazy, and silly might not be the same as in your classroom where you can close the doors. So we have to sort of, teachers, recognize this and allow our students to feel that it's okay if they don't want to do certain things, and to turn on their cameras when they feel ready to do so. It may take a while and it may never happen, but maybe they'll have a sense of belonging. That's all we can do behind the screen. It's a lot more difficult to do certain things, but a lot easier to do others. I don't know.
Yeah.
Jaydene, you have something to add to that?
Yeah, so just to like chime in and go off on what Marsha has said, it really is about building that sense of belonging, creating that safe space. And so for me, like, I'll just use my experience of this practicum course that I teach. Even when I'm doing it face to face, they're starting out with a linguistics class, a teacher training class, and then all of a sudden they come to class and find out, oh, you're going to make me do theater. You're going to make me act. And so part of that is I start by explaining to them the benefits of these activities, tell them why we're doing it, how it can help them. But the essential ingredient for me really is in those first couple of lessons where you're establishing the nature of that classroom. So icebreakers and things like that, that is the key part of my course, is to do those icebreakers, help my students get to know each other and feel comfortable with each other. So, you know, people, icebreakers, you know, oh, they're fun, they're silly activities. No, like, this is me breaking down barriers with my icebreaker activities that I have my students do. And as Marsha said, you kind of have to get it to a point where it's like, no, this is routine. This is something that we're just always going to do. So if you try it for a first time and it fails, don't necessarily think, oh, it's failed, I'm not going to do this anymore. Try it again. You know, if it fails after 3 or 4 times, then maybe that's just not going to work in this environment. But if you try again and try again and try again, eventually they're going to build that up. And I guess, like, the last thing that I would say to that is, you are just as important. So in any of these activities, you essentially have to be more over the top than they are as well. You have to be able to show them that I can be silly too. I can let my guard. If you're doing it, then that's going to make them feel a little bit safer about doing it as well. Sometimes I give students a chance to opt out on 1 or 2 activities. Definitely creating that safe space. Even now that I'm working from home, I personally don't use my virtual background, because at the beginning I show, like, this is where I live, like, this is, I have dogs that are going to be noisy too. I'll have housemates that are coming in and out. So again, it's just, I try to show my students that just like them, I'm a real person, and I'm also teaching in an environment that's not the best for me. If I have people that have kids, if they need to have their kid come and join us for a little bit, that's also fine. So it's just, those are some things that I try to do just to help make them more willing. But again, just that consistency and showing that this is something that we're going to do together, but also explaining the why. If students can see the why behind something, they're hopefully going to invest more.
That's great. I'd like
Thank
to
you.
Allow for one more bit of information that I'd like to share with all of our teachers that teach pronunciation, writing, listening, vocabulary, any of the skills, free to educators. All of the subscription fees have been cut completely through September 2021 for educators to allow their students to use a whole bevy of online resources for pronunciation, grammar and writing, listening, idioms, poetry, science. So if you're interested in this offer from AM English, you may email info@sunburstmedia.com with your subject as AM English, and you can get a lot more information about how you can bring these free resources to your students. And lastly, I'd like to remind everybody how wonderful we believe Katisal is, and encourage you, if you're not already members, to become members. Most of you are members, and to remember to look at what is coming up. So all of our upcoming events are on the calendar here. Some of them are advertised at the top here. So we have another activity this afternoon. We have more workshops coming up, and hopefully you'll find these useful to you. So we have workshops as well as conference activities at katisal.org. So thank you very much for your participation. Love
Thank
it.
you.
And keep on keeping on.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you guys. Thanks for participating. That's what makes it.